Hello, everybody, and welcome to Second Cup with Keith. I am your host, Keith Giles, and we are coming to you live right now on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, etc. If you'd like to catch the live show, if you are listening, let's say you're listening to this on the podcast version that will be posted later, and you'd like to join the live stream, you can do so by following me on Facebook or on Instagram, and I will post live there every Monday. We go live around 11 a.m. or so every Mountain Time, by the way, Mountain Time Zone, every Monday. And yeah, and otherwise, yes, you can catch it on. You can also, by the way, if you subscribe to and I recommend you do this, there's a Choircast podcast YouTube channel. And if you subscribe to the Choircast YouTube channel, you'll also be able to catch us when we go live on the God Squad on Thursday nights and on Heretic Happy Hour when we go live on Sunday mornings. As always, or almost always, this Choircast podcast is brought to you by my book, The Quantum Sayings of Jesus, Decoding the Lost Gospel of Thomas. Still doing very well on Amazon. It is not number one as of today. I checked it this morning, and I think we're number 2 or number 3 in the category of mysticism and spirituality. But that's still very strong for a book that came out almost a year ago. So if you haven't grabbed the book, check it out. It's I'm very proud of it. It is definitely the most successful book I have ever published, and this is probably my 12th book. So yeah, go check that out. Very excited about that. Also, I need to give a shout out to a brand new book that will be coming out next month. This is a book, first time I've ever co-written a book with anybody. Matthew DiStefano, who's the co-host of Heretic Happy Hour with myself, and is also the co-owner of Choir Publishing, along with me, is he and I have co-written a book together called Reading Romans Right. Very excited about this book. Really, really excited. I really felt like this book is going to make a big difference for a lot of people who don't know how to read Romans or have been mistaught Romans. And that's probably most evangelical Christians that I've ever met, and certainly myself growing up, was told to read Romans a certain way, and then you find out later that's completely the wrong way. Excuse me, I'm getting choked up here. So that releases March 18th. So go check that out. All right, so I think that's enough commercials. I got a couple of people saying hi. Matthew says hi. Matthew DiStefano. Deidre Smith says, hi, Keith. Hope you're doing well. Thank you. Thank you for watching me live here. So yeah, what are we going to talk about today? Well, I came across this article yesterday, actually. So this is something that I just saw. And in our Square 3 group, which meets every Sunday around 2 o'clock, we spent a little time talking about this. Now, I think I'm the only one who had read it. So it was really mainly me just kind of commenting on it, but it was in the context of our conversation we were having. And I thought, this is actually something that I wanted to do the podcast on today. So bear with me. This is all kind of new. I probably will write a podcast on this topic today or tomorrow. But I think it's something very relevant. And it's something that I'm personally struggling with. And I've been very open about the fact that I'm struggling with this. So this won't be really anything too new as far as the kind of things I've been talking about, right? So I've been talking a lot about the last probably couple of months. I am very convinced that, of course, we are more divided than we've ever been, right? I feel like the media, the news, specifically the media, and that includes social media, of course, as well as the people that really do kind of run the world, which would be corporate billionaires, corporations. They have part of their strategy to maintain power, to keep us divided. And that means keeping us, in this us and them mentality. And of course, this us them mentality is also what enables racism, prejudice, war, genocide, poverty, The more we continue to exist and operate in the mindset of, us versus them, right? It's a dead end. And, I've started noticing this a couple of years ago when I first wrote Sola Mysterium, and I started realizing that breaking out of toxic theology, that one of the things about toxic theology is that it sort of, it's fueled by this idea of separation, right? Separation between you, God, and you, separation between Christians and non-Christians, and even separation between the right kinds of Christians and the wrong kinds of Christians, right? So, yeah, so that was really the way I first started embracing this idea of mystery when it came to God, and then also recognizing that if there's any sort of basic truth that we can take away, that at least I take away from theology, is that God is love, and we are made in the image of love, and that there is no separation between God and man, and therefore there's no separation between us, between human beings, right? We're all the children of God. We're all in the family of God. That's every human being on the planet, regardless of your faith, your belief, your race, your color, your nationality. That all of those divisions are artificial, and they are artificially imposed upon us, again, as a way for certain people to exert and exert power over and exploit us, and prevent us from recognizing the truth of, like, who's actually pulling the strings, who's really manipulating us, right? And the solution, regardless, is the waking up to the realization of our shared divinity and our shared humanity. And I've said many times, I believe this is the answer to everything. Now, the problem I encounter, and you may as well, with trying to lean in to that reality, is, of course, the fact that we're living during a time where, an unprecedented time in at least American history, but in many ways world history as well, because this isn't just happening in America. I think this is happening all over the world, where governments are becoming more fascist, and those fascist regimes depend more and more on propaganda, and that propaganda constantly seeks a scapegoat, which is usually a race of people or a class of people, that they're the problem, and if we need to oppress them, get rid of them, criminalize them and their identity and their behavior, etc. In America, that's a variety of scapegoats. We have many scapegoats. We have immigrants, which now are not even illegal immigrants. They're just immigrants, period. Even if you came here legally, if you're an immigrant, you're bad news, and we need to get rid of you and send you to a concentration camp in Guantanamo Bay. Another group of people would be people that are trans. They have to be eliminated. They're the problem. Somehow they're the problem. I mean, no one's demonstrated what danger they actually, pose to the rest of us in our daily life. And again, all of these things, all of these scapegoating mechanisms, again, are all distractions, because none of these people that are scapegoated are actually getting rid of them, won't actually solve. In many cases, they're not even attempting to say, they're not even attempting to even argue that by eliminating these people, we will solve problems such as the economy, or jobs, or education, or poverty, or all the many real problems that we actually encounter on a daily basis, things that actually impact your everyday life, right? The price of groceries and gas and eggs, and your ability to find affordable housing, and to provide for your family in a way that you can live comfortably and not work yourself to death, etc. Right? Those are the real things that people, if you got down to it, those are the things that anybody, I don't care if you're a MAGA or you're progressive or what, anything between, or you're even completely apolitical, if you would answer this question, what are real problems you deal with every day, that if I could wave a magic wand, what are the problems you wish I could make go away that would make your life, your actual life better, it would not involve anything to do with immigrants or trans people or any of these scapegoats, right? So all that to say, we are living in this time where we have our governments are shifting. They're becoming more fascist. Our leaders are becoming more fascist. Cruelty seems to be the point, etc. And when you feel like you're living in the second wave of the reign of Hitler, right? That's what I feel like. I don't know about you. I feel like future generations, like 20, 30 years from now, are going to write, assuming there's anyone left to write history, are going to write history about this time that I'm living in right now. And they're going to describe it the way we currently describe what happened in Nazi Germany, right? That's how I feel. And so because I feel that way, because I feel and I see and I experience on a daily basis, especially over the last 4 weeks, just a daily onslaught of oppressive, sick, twisted, evil things that are happening and that are hurting actual real human beings and Americans. And yes, some of them are not Americans, but it doesn't matter. It's still cruelty because we have a shared humanity and a shared divinity. And therefore, my empathy can't help but react, right? And so when you feel this way, I'm getting to the point. I'm setting it up. So when you feel that this is the world you live in, and you feel, I want to say, I think most of us feel very powerless to do anything about it, right? Here's what you end up doing. Here we go. Get ready, because this is where I'm getting into the point. And by the way, I'm confessing right now, this is me. I'm talking about myself right now. I'm not talking about you. I'm not projecting. I'm not condemning anybody. I'm telling you, this is how I have been reacting, because I feel this anxiety and I feel this kind of pressure, and I feel like I have to do something. I have to say something. I cannot be silent when I see genocide. You know, we're on the brink of genocide. We're on the brink of fascism. We're on the brink of losing our constitutional, republic. So what do I do? What do you do? I think most of us, what we do is we see a post on social media. We wake up in the morning before we've even had our cup of coffee, most of us, or while we're having our first cup of coffee, we're scrolling through our phones, and we're seeing a post that either validates our emotion, that we say, yes, that's right. Oh, good. Somebody posted a video and they said what I'm feeling. What do? I like it and I share it. Or I see something that just makes me want to scream, right? Oh my gosh, another crazy, stupid thing that's happening from the other side. Those people are claiming this, and those people are accusing people of that. And oh my gosh, this is so wrong and it's so awful. And what am I going to do? I'm going to share that on my page. I'm going to share that on my Instagram, my Facebook, my Twitter, and I'm going to say something about it. I'm going to say, oh my gosh, people, can you believe this? This is crazy. This is insane. And we just get caught up in this, right? We get caught up in, so like if you just look at your own Facebook feed, if you look at your own Instagram feed, at least again, I'm telling on myself, and this was true as of yesterday. Hopefully it's not true right now. If you go and look at my Facebook feed this very moment, I hope what you'll notice is you won't see this, but you would have yesterday had I not gone through and deleted all these posts because of what I'm about to say. But every post would be about them, right? Like I had and have been, I'm just saying, over the past 4 weeks, more and more and more, my posts have been, the majority of things I've been posting about have been reactions to what they are doing and what they are saying, and my opposing what they are doing, and or promoting things that people on our side, us, what we are saying, what people on our side are saying, right? What they're doing, what politicians, AOC posted this video. Oh my gosh, is John Fugelsang posted this slam dunk, meme. Oh my gosh, it's so hilarious. Look at this. This is great. Or John Oliver had this great comeback video clip. I'm going to share that clip. Oh my gosh, isn't this funny? Isn't this great? Go get him. Right. So it's either the go get him, attaboy, you tell him, that's right, I agree with you, rah, rah, on the us side, or it's the oh my gosh, they are awful and horrible and evil and they must be stopped. And can you believe how crazy and awful and evil they are? Right. That's pretty much what you would have seen on my Facebook page. And what you have seen, I'll say, what you've seen me post on my Instagram and on my Facebook and on my Twitter mostly over the last 4 weeks. But I think that's a mistake. And I'm going to at least try for 1 week. I'm going to try not to do that. I'm going to try to avoid posting anything on my personal Facebook feed or Instagram feed, anything at all about either, thumbs up and rah rah our side or, boo hiss on them side. And here's why. It's this article that I read. I came across. It's a magazine called 404 Media. .co. And it's an article by Janice Rose. This is from February the 5th. And the title of the post is, "You Can't Post Your Way Out of Fascism." The byline says, "Authoritarians and tech CEOs now share the same goal." Here it is. "To keep us locked in an eternal doom scroll instead of organizing against them." And that right there, my friends, that's the thesis. In other words, when all you do is post and repost things that you agree with or things that you hate, you are doing exactly what they want you to do. You're doing exactly what the people who are fighting for fascism and fighting for control and power over this country, that's what they want you to do. You are playing into their strategy. Because the more you are focused, your energies are focused every day. And think about this. How many hours a day, every day, Monday through Sunday, right? I don't know about you. Most of us don't take a break on the weekends. Your energy is focused on, and I say this all the time, your energy is focused on fighting the old. And the more you're focused on fighting the old, that plays into their strategy because it means you're not focused on building the new. I'm going to get down into the nitty gritty of that. I'm going to go through this article a little bit and talk about, but I think she makes some really great points in this article. So I'm just going to read a little bit of it. I'm going to read some of it and then comment on it, and then we can talk about it. This article says, "If there's one thing I'd hoped people had learned going into the next 4 years of Donald Trump as president, it's this, that spending lots of time online posting about what people in power are saying and doing is not going to accomplish anything." And honestly, that's exactly what they want you to do. So here we are in Trump's second presidential term. And yes, it's worse. And it's the kind of thing where it's actually so bad. I mean, if you think about some of the things that have happened since Donald Trump was inaugurated, it's been almost immediately a nonstop onslaught of just crazy stuff. Elon Musk gave a Nazi salute. Dear Lord, how do you not react to that? Right? Donald Trump talks about invading Canada. What? Like, how do you just let that slide? How do you not want to tell everybody, did you see that? Or react to that? Well, of course, right? And again, in a way that's on purpose, right? They're doing and saying things so over the top, so redonkulous that you, of course, cannot. If you're opposed to these kinds of things, you can't be quiet about it, right? So again, I'm going to read another quote. She says, "Many of my journalist colleagues have attempted to beat back the tide under banners like fighting disinformation and accountability. While these efforts are admirable," she says, "the past few years have changed my own internal calculus. Thinkers like Jean-Paul Sartre and Hannah Arendt warned us that the point of this deluge is not to persuade, but to overwhelm and paralyze our capacity to act." Yes. More recently, she says, researchers have found that the viral outrage disseminated on social media in response to these ridiculous claims actually reduces the effectiveness of collective action. The result is a media environment that keeps us in a state of debilitating fear and anger, endlessly in a loop, reacting to our oppressors instead of, and this is the point, instead of organizing against them. This is really the whole point. And again, just kind of let me just take a step back here and explain what is the point of what she's trying to say. She's not saying shut up and be quiet and do nothing. And by the way, I get this all the time, right? When I've talked about in the past, I wrote a book on creative nonviolence called Jesus Unarmed, and I've blogged about nonviolence for over probably the last 15, 20 years. I've been blogging and writing and speaking and teaching and podcasting and publishing books about creative nonviolence. And most of the time, what I get in the pushback is, oh my gosh, Keith, don't you know the quote, right? The only thing that evil needs to flourish and thrive is for good people to do nothing. As if what I'm saying is that to refrain from violence means doing nothing. Understand, creative nonviolence will take most of your time. You will not be doing nothing. You will be doing so many things. And it will take a lot of your energy, a lot of your creativity, a lot of your energy and your thought, your mind, your planning, your strategy, your collaboration with other people to come up with creative ways to resist, creative ways to push back. And that's not doing nothing. So we're not saying the answer is to do nothing. We're saying, yes, step one is stop spending and wasting all your time in this constant reaction phase, where really all you're doing is giving oxygen to them and what they want, right? And for this purpose, again, I'm going to use they and them terminology. But again, to the goal and aim of breaking out of the us and them. Okay, stay with me. Hope that makes sense. What they're saying is, what she's saying in the article is, well, I guess we should say it the other way. What does work? In other words, you and I posting and reposting voices for or against the fascism, let's just say. Those posts won't change anything. Again, the title of the article is You Can't Post Your Way Out of Fascism. Okay. So that's not going to work. So let's talk about what will work. That's the point. And that's what she gets into in the article. Organizing against them. And organizing against fascism, organizing against the demolishing of the Constitution will be accomplished if you want to organize against it, if you want to resist it, if you want to push back against it. It will be accomplished by all of us collectively working together in the real world. Not on Facebook, not on Instagram. Now, let's say, for an example, someone organized a protest. If you don't know, there's a protest going on probably if you're in a major city, it's probably going on in your city right now or within driving distance. There's one happening today in El Paso around 4 o'clock. Wendy and I are going to go there. We're going to join the protest here in El Paso, Texas. It's going to start downtown in San Jacinto Plaza. We're going to march from the Civic Center down to City Hall, and we're going to protest here on President's Day that we don't want a king, that we need a president who is elected and who upholds the Constitution, which is what presidents, when they're sworn in and put their hands on a Bible, are supposed to swear to do, which is to uphold justice and liberty for everyone, for the Constitution. And it's just a protest to do that. Now and if the goal is that people get human bodies, get in their cars and drive across town and stand together and march together and raise their voices together in the real world, that is a step towards organizing against the evils that we see happening in the world. Do you hear what I'm saying? Now, it doesn't mean that if you're doing that in the real world, that you can't post about what you're doing on Instagram or Facebook. Sure. Take pictures of that, share that. But what you're sharing now is evidence of actual action that will really do something and move the needle. And this isn't the only way. Okay. And we're going to get into that a little bit more. So she quotes Catherine Cross, who's a sociologist, and also the author of a book called Log Off: Why Posting and Politics Almost Never Mix. And so here's what Catherine Cross has to say. The reality is you are oxygenating the things these people are saying, even as you purport to debunk them. Whether it's New York Times columnist Ross Douthat providing a sane-washing gloss on Trump's mania, or people on social media vehemently disagreeing and dunking on it, they're both legitimizing it as a part of the discourse. So Cross's book contains a catalog of social media sins. I need to read this book, which many people who follow and care about current events are probably guilty of, and I would say I'm sure I'm guilty of those things too. And she also documents in her book how tech platforms encourage us through their design affordances to post and seethe and doom scroll into the void, always reacting but never acting. That right there is the key. If they can keep you always constantly in reactive mode, that means you're never acting. You're just always reacting. And who are the ones doing things? They are. They're doing stuff. And all you're doing is reacting to it. You're not acting against it. So in other words, we need an equal and opposite action, not just a reaction, thumbs down, anger emoji, whatever. That's not doing anything. Understand, right? That's not real. And we've been sort of lulled into thinking that because it happened on social media, it's real. But it isn't. We haven't really accomplished anything. I'm going to read this. I'm just going to continue to read here. The article also says the greatest of these sins that Catherine Cross points out is convincing ourselves that posting is a form of political activism, when at best it's a coping mechanism, an individualist solution to problems that can only be solved by collective action. So in other words, the only thing that solves the problem is when we do something. Cross says, this is the primary way tech platforms atomize and alienate us, creating a solipsism that says you are the main protagonist in a sea of non-playable characters. Everything on social media, great quote here. Check this out. Great quote. Everything on social media is designed to make you think like this, that it's all about you and your feed and your network and your friends. For most people, she says, social media gives you this sense that unless you care about everything, you care about nothing. You must try to swallow the world while it's on fire. And I don't know about you, but that's how I feel lately. I feel like that's what I'm trying to do. And if anything, think about this. If you've done what I'm talking about, if you're doing what she's talking about, if you, for the past 4 weeks, if you have just been liking and sharing and reacting and reacting and reacting and reacting and reacting on your social media, does it make you feel better? I mean, really? Do you feel better? Because I don't. I just feel more and more powerless and more empty. Because no matter how many times I share that video, no matter how many times I like that clip, no matter how many times I share somebody dunking on somebody that I think is wrong, you kind of notice that it doesn't matter, right? You kind of see that it doesn't do a damn thing. And that just makes you feel more helpless and more hopeless, doesn't it? So, yeah, it's just I'm really grateful for this article. Because I think, yeah, I think anyway, it's helping me to recognize the pointlessness of doing this. And so that's why I've decided, at least for this week, and to be honest, I probably should just do this from now on, not just for a week. But I mean, I'm saying I'm going to do it for a week because it's like I need to give myself a doable window, like, because you know what I mean? It's almost an addiction to say, like, okay, I'm going to just, for this week, I'm going to resist the temptation. I am not going to do this. I'm not going to participate in this. I'm not going to start dunking on other people who I disagree with. And I'm not going to start, posting and sharing things that I think are like, yeah, he's right. Understand, if I stop doing it, it's not that they're going to shut up, right? those people are going to continue to create their content and share their content, and it's going to continue to get shared because most of us are caught in this loop. So, it's like they won't have my help pushing that for a week, but I don't think it's going to really matter in the long term. In the article, it says, if we don't learn how to extract ourselves from this loop, none of the information we gain will manifest as tangible action. And the people in charge prefer it that way. Damn, that's so good. Are you guys resonating with this? The more I read this, I was just like, this is exactly right. In other words, you got to understand that all of this stuff is a distraction from actual action. In other words, like, yeah, react all you want, because that's all you're going to do. That's the end of it. If it doesn't become tangible action, there's no point. And I think the tangible action can be more than just like today there's a protest and we're going to go down to this protest. But there's not a protest every day. And to be honest, I can't go to one every day, right? We got to work. I got to live my life, right? So I can't do this every day. What do I do the other days that I'm not, getting in my car and driving down to do something tangible? Well, you can join an organization that is doing something tangible, right? There's the ACLU. Wendy and I just joined over the weekend. I guess it was now 2 weeks ago. We joined Americans United for the Separation of Church and State. It's a great organization. I encourage you to find a local chapter and go to their meetings and join them and sign up. At least here in El Paso, you don't have to be a member to go to their meetings. You could just find out when they're meeting and go to the meeting and hear what they're doing and listen to what they're doing and find ways you can get involved. Again, I don't know if it's true in every case, but I know here in El Paso, the local Quaker congregation is very active in doing tangible things like food drives and clothing drives for immigrants and refugees that are in shelters here in El Paso. That's tangible action, right? Those are things you can actually do. We had an interview, Heretic Happy Hour, we interviewed, it won't be out for a couple of weeks. So in a couple of weeks, you're going to be able to listen to this episode, but a little sneak peek. Heretic Happy Hour interviewed Lisa Sharon Harper and Shane Claiborne, talking about how these assaults on DEI are an attack on human rights. And we talked about this, people feeling powerless and what can we do about it and blah, blah, blah. And what I said was, maybe I need to go get arrested. Maybe I need to, physically block the ICE truck from, knocking on my neighbor's door or carrying them away or something, right? And Shane had a good point. He said, the goal isn't to get arrested. The goal is to make a difference, right? The goal is to do something positive and creative and beautiful that actually not just prevents evil from happening, but promotes good on people that are being targeted and oppressed right now. That does good for them now. You know what I'm saying? Not just waiting for bad things to happen, but doing something good now. And so he suggested something really simple, which was, go online and Google, local businesses that are run by minorities. Or like he said, in his case, there's a Palestinian-owned coffee shop. And he says, normally I prefer to get my coffee. I make my coffee at home and have my coffee there. But he says, you know what? This week I'm going to make a point to get in my car and drive across town and buy coffee and sit and have coffee at this Palestinian-owned coffee shop to show that I care about Palestinian people, right? And again, that's a small thing, but that's something you're doing that's positive in the real world, a tangible act of that's a tangible activism. And I think that's what we need to focus on. We need to wake up from this illusion that social media is doing something. It's not changing a damn thing. And the more we are sucked into that sort of doom scrolling, liking, sharing, hate posting, the less we're doing in the real world that's actually doing any good for people. And And I think that's what we need to realize. Again, I'm going to read from the article. She says, it's no surprise that tech billionaires like Musk and Bezos and Zuckerberg have rushed to kiss the ring of Trump. The marriage of big tech and Trump should make clear that Silicon Valley and authoritarians share the same goal: to crush dissent by keeping their would-be opponents spinning on an endless hamster wheel of reactive anger. And just like in the 1983 film War Games, the only winning move is not to play. And they say this can be a tough pill to swallow when the internet is our main window into the world. And I get that, and I agree. This is part of the problem. And the world seems to be falling apart every day, right? We're seeing horrific things happening. We're seeing Nazi Germany level things happening, Handmaid's Tale things beginning to happen, right? Like real 1984 Brave New World level scary stuff. Man, I'm with you. And so when we gaze into our phones and we see it happening on our phone, we react on our phone. We can't help it. It's very difficult. But we have to wake up and we have to decide. It takes intentional action not to get sucked into that. So, so here you go. She gives some other examples of like real things we can do. She says, trusted information networks have existed since long before the internet and mass media. These networks are in every town and city, and at their core are real relationships between actual human beings, not their online versions, but their actual face-to-face. We know each other, we get together, we talk, we meet, we plan things, we do things. She says, here in New York City, in the week since the inauguration, I've seen large groups mobilized to defend migrants who anticipated ICE raids, provide warm food and winter clothing for unhoused people after the city closed shelters and abandoned people in sub-freezing temperatures. Similar efforts are underway in Chicago, where ICE reportedly arrested more than 100 people, and in other cities where ICE has planned to or attempted raids, with volunteers assigned to keep watch over key locations where migrants are most vulnerable. We also saw, and you may have seen this, they shut down the freeway in Los Angeles. I think it was the 101. Many mutual aid groups in Los Angeles, not only helping people affected by the fires, but they've also focused on distributing information about how to learn about and resist ICE raids in their communities. So that's the kind of stuff we need to have our attention focused on. And look, I get it. Most of us are not going to be the ones to organize these things. We're not going to be the ones to lead these things. So you need to look, Google, search, find people in your actual community who are doing something, standing up in some way, organizing in some way, becoming activists in some way, providing actual help to people that are hurting right now, more than again, those are the things that actually help them. So yeah, so they give another example, and I thought this was good because this was an example from the other side. Okay. They say it's a lesson the extremely online left still hasn't learned, failing where its political enemies have succeeded. Reactionary right-wing groups like the homophobic and transphobic Moms for Liberty, which seeks to ban books from LGBTQ and people of color at libraries, have claimed political victories by seizing power over public school boards, one town at a time. That is action. And to understand now, when you see, and I've reported on these things through the God Squad, right? We've talked about how, oh my gosh, the Louisiana and Kentucky and Oklahoma and now Texas are introducing bills in legislature forcing, public schools to have the 10 Commandments or Bible studies or things like that, or pastors instead of trained counselors and psychologists in schools, public schools. How did that happen? How did that happen? Did the people on the right, did the white Christian nationalists accomplish that by just posting a bunch of shit on Instagram and Facebook? No. They started by doing what she just said. They started very small, right? Local school boards, local city councils. They get enough seats, then they start introducing legislation, right? They're getting involved and they're moving the needle. Those are the kind of things that work. And if you want to do something that works, either go and speak to your city council, go and speak to your school board. If you have children that are in public school, then you have the right to address the school board. Go to one of the meetings and sign up and take your 2 minutes or whatever, how much time they give you, and get up and let your voice be heard. That will move the needle. That will do something. But just reacting on social media won't do anything. Anyway, so I'm going to read some comments here. Judy Springsteen says, wow, I couldn't agree more with this article. We get to turn our frustration into actual action that will cause change. Yes, if we do something, right? But not if we're just reacting. Judy also says small groups where folks can process and strategize and to do the work in their local communities. Yes. I've been lit up the past few weeks for a new project I'm starting. It definitely helps. Oh, good. That's great. Alan says he's here. Good. Thank you for joining, Alan. Yeah. So again, this got me really thinking, and it's not just thinking, but acting, right? I think this is what a lot of us need to do, is to move from thinking into acting, doing something, right? I have argued for the longest time, right, that getting involved in politics, and what I mean by that is like vote for my guy, our side is right. Again, this us and them kind of politics is pointless and worthless and doesn't do anything. Okay. But what I have always advocated for is justice. And justice is using your voice, using your power, whatever power you have, to advocate for people who don't have power. And that isn't politics, that's justice. Justice is something, that's what Jesus did. That's what we should do. We should notice when our fellow human beings around us are suffering, and we should do something to help stop that suffering. And that means being physically, tangibly, actively involved. Just posting on the internet is not going to accomplish the change that we hope and want to see in the world. So again, we kind of have to be the change, right? Again, I'm just going to finish reading here from the article. She says, you can discourse and quote dunk and fact check until you're blue in the face. And have you done that? I've done that. Oh my gosh. I did that just this weekend, right? I posted something. About Elon Musk and how he had, what was the post? I said, Elon Musk has posted top secret information on the internet, and he also has your social security number. What do you think he's going to do with that? Can he be trusted? And one of the comments to that was, looks like someone's been, listening to fake news. And then I had to come back at him with 4 or 5 different sources for what I'm saying to prove I'm right and you're wrong, right? And then the guy never answered. He never responds, right? They make the comment and they're gone, right? And then you and I are left and then that's what happened. 10 different people just responded and reacted to dunk on this guy and slam on this guy and you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're dumb, you're stupid, blah, blah, blah. And the guy didn't even pay attention to it. He wasn't even there, didn't accomplish anything, right? And again, it's cathartic in some ways because you just have this visceral reaction but did it really do anything? Yeah, probably not. So yes, that's what I feel like I've been doing. I've been quote dunking and fact checking and reacting and responding and hate posting until I'm blue in the face. And now going back to the article, they say, but at a certain point, we have to stop and decide what we really believe in. The internet has conditioned us to constantly seek new information, as if becoming a sponge of bad news will eventually yield the final piece of some puzzle. But there is also such a thing as having enough information. Oh my gosh, this resonates with me so much. I've said this for so long, especially in Christian circles, when I was an evangelical Christian even. I remember one of the first sermons I gave was on this idea that we sit in churches, right, and we listen to sermons over and over and over again. We've heard these sermons 1,000 times. At what point do we actually get up and do the things, right? One of my favorite quotes is by Fenelon. It's 16th century Catholic bishop, I think, wrote this really amazing. It's a series of letters he wrote to different people, and one of the letters I paraphrase, but it's the one quote that has stuck with me from this book. And he writes to this young Christian man, and he says, if I can remember the exact quote, he says, most of us already know enough to put Jesus' words in action. No, I'm sorry. Let me change it back. I got it. He said, if you stopped learning right now, if you just stop learning right now, you already have enough information to put the words of Jesus into action. And that's why I think I resonate with this article so much. Do you and I need more information before we can do something? I think we have enough. I think you and I don't know about you, I have plenty of information. I know that we have elected someone who is a narcissist, who is a dictator, who is dangerous. I know this person doesn't care about the rule of law. This person is a felon, convicted felon. This person has not only said, but is actively doing things that are contrary to the Constitution, that are leading us down the path of genocide. I see it coming. I see the fascism on the wall. I've seen the list of, the checklist of things that have to be in place for you to be living in a fascist society, a fascist government. And you know what? Every box has been checked. I know enough. I don't need to know any more. That doesn't mean that new things aren't going to come out. I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. I'm not saying don't listen to the news. I'm saying if all you do is react in the moment on your phone or on your Facebook or on your social media, you are not doing anything. And if anything, you're playing into the hands. You're enabling. You are greasing the skids. You're making it easier for that thing that you don't want to happen to actually happen. And so let's not play into that. Let's not go along. Think of it that way. What if all you do is react this way? You're going along. It's as if you're actually just saying thumbs up. You might as well just say good, thumbs up, if that's all you're going to do. Because you're enabling the evil that you see happening, that you want to stop, but you're enabling it to continue. And so, I don't know about you. I want to try to find ways to be more active, right? So, like I said, I've done a few things, and I feel like this is nothing. This is. I'm not patting myself on the back because this is bare minimum, right? We joined Americans United for the Separation of Church and State. We also want to join a local interfaith group as well, because I think interfaith groups are usually looking for ways to understand each other and maybe work together and help each other. So we're gonna try that. We're gonna go downtown today to this protest. I'm gonna stop enabling and sharing things on social media that just don't do anything and don't accomplish anything for the rest of this week at least, and then hopefully I can continue that from now on, because it's going to free up my mind and my creativity and my energy to think of other ways. And I'm very open to other ways. Like, I want to meet with other people locally, right? I want to strategize and organize. Like, what are some creative, positive, beautiful things we can do in the world? I think, like, I'm part of a group right now. We're doing a group called Creatas, and it's a creative sandbox. And we have like 10 people in here in this group. We meet every Wednesday night, and we're talking about creativity and art and, poetry and painting and music and photography and all this kind of thing. And I think creativity can be an act of resistance. And I think actually, beauty and expressions of beauty and love, that reminds us of our empathy for our fellow human being. So I think we need the arts. We need to create. And if you're going to share something on social media, share that. Share things that remind us of our oneness and our shared divinity and our shared humanity. Share things that evoke and provoke empathy for our fellow human beings. That's what we need. That's what we're lacking right now. That's what we need more than anything. That's the kind of thing that will help awaken us to the fact that at the end of the day, there's only one race, and it's the human race. And that all these divisions are bullshit. All these divisions, all these separations are an illusion, and they're created for the purpose of perpetuating more division and more darkness. And it's allowing more evil in the world. And so the way, if you want to remove the evil that's in the world, you shine the light. So we have to shine the light, promote the light, share the light, create the light. And if you're a creative person in any way, write that poem, write that book, write that song, sing that song, record it, share it, give it away, do whatever you can do, paint that mural. Do you guys remember? This was actually really cool. You guys remember during COVID, there was like a movement like Chalk the Block or something like that, where people just, when I would take walks around my neighborhood during 2020, I would randomly come across some little kid or some person had written really beautiful, encouraging, positive, inspiring messages on the sidewalk. You can do it. Don't give up. God loves you. It's a beautiful day. Things like that. Again, that's not for nothing. That's not. It's not like that doesn't make a difference in the world, people. It really does, because we do. At the end of the day, we need one another. We all need encouragement. We all get down. We all are dealing with our own struggles and anxieties and fears and doubts. So, something as simple as that. So, hey, if nothing else, if you're listening to what I'm saying and you can't think of anything else you can do, get some chalk, go in front of your house, the sidewalk in front of your house, and post something that's really positive and beautiful that reminds people that we're all one, and that love is what changes the world, and division and separation is a lie, or whatever. Every human being matters or counts. Come up with your own ideas, come up with your own messages. Gosh, it's better than nothing. And it's certainly better than just continuing to give oxygen to stuff that doesn't really translate into what's going on outside your window and outside in the real world that we're all walking around in. So, yeah. Okay, this is an interesting comment. I haven't read it all the way through yet. Susan Mackler says, this is a good comment. Thank you for sharing this, Susan. Susan says, I had an abusive husband and he never wanted to hurt me physically. He wanted me to be afraid. That way he could control me and gaslight me because I was dominated by fear. When I stopped being afraid of him, he lost interest and left. In the present moment, the internet causes us to be fearful, which is what they want. Staying off the internet is one way to hold off fear. And good, and that's right. And if you need to stay off the internet to manage that in your life, by all means do that. I did a podcast a few months ago, or about a month ago, about changing your algorithm, right? The algorithm has been trained by you. Believe it or not, you have trained the algorithm to send you certain things. So if you're constantly watching videos about Trump, you're going to keep getting videos about Trump because that's what you like and share and comment on, right? So stop doing that. All right, go to YouTube and search for videos that are about beauty and inspiration and hope and connection and oneness. And that will retrain the algorithm to give you those kinds of posts. Same with Facebook. Don't like something that's about fear, right? That's just reactionary. Search for, follow other people on Facebook or Instagram who are giving you these kinds of positive messages, and like their stuff and share their stuff, and that you will retrain the algorithm to send you more of that. Because at the end of the day, that's all it wants to do, right? Is to send you stuff to click on and like and share. Yeah, Judy says it's an inspiring group of creatives, because Judy's in that group I'm talking about, the Creatives group. Vincent van Gogh would be proud. Judy says, Bob Newhart said, stop it. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I hope that's encouraging to all of you. This is just the thing that was on my mind. And this article really did. I've already shared it on my Facebook. So if you scroll down my Facebook feed, you'll see the link. You can't post your way out of fascism. I think I posted and said, read this. So that's all I said. And the final thing, although I pretty much read you the article right now, the final thing in the article is we don't need any more irony, poison, hot takes, or cathartic, irreverent snark. We need to collectively decide what kind of world we actually do want and what we're willing to do to achieve it. So thank you, Janice Rose. Janice Rose is a New York-based journalist, educator, and artist. An artist, look at that. So thank you so much. Previously a senior editor at Vice. She's been published in digital and print outlets, including eFlux Journal, Dazed Magazine, The New Yorker, and Al Jazeera. Thank you, Janice Rose. Great article. As a writer, I wanted to say thank you from one writer to another for writing that article, posting that article. Thank you to whoever it was that sent me that article, brought it to my attention. Super helpful. And to me, personally, it's a game changer for me. I'm trying more and more to shift my paradigm and my behavior away from fighting the old. Gosh, it's so hard to do. It is so hard to do. It's so easy to do. And it feels like fighting the old is accomplishing something. But again, in the words of Socrates, the secret of change is not to constantly fight the old, it's to build the new. And this, what Janice Rose is talking about in this article, what I'm talking about in this podcast, what will change the world is to build the world, to build the new, to model it, to demonstrate it, to show it to people, to let them hear it, to let them see it. This is really the big thing that Jesus is doing in the Sermon on the Mount. He's in the Sermon on the Mount, he's painting a picture of the way the world should be, the way the world could be. He's giving them an imagination for what he calls the kingdom of God. And he says the kingdom of God isn't this utopian future that's going to come someday after we're all dead. No, because what good is that? What use is that? No, Jesus says the kingdom of God is here right now. You're in it right now. You're living in the kingdom of God right now. And in fact, even more astounding than that, the kingdom of God can be found in you and in me. This reality that we want to create, this reality that we want to live in, this beautiful utopian place that's all right side up, where the first are last and the last are first, right? That is in you and me, right? Again, I said this a couple weeks ago. Jesus told Peter, he told the disciples, I'm giving you the keys to this kingdom. And so whatever you bind here on earth will be bound in the kingdom of God. And whatever you loose here on earth will be set free in the kingdom of God. And with those keys, what are we going to do? Unfortunately, what the Christian church has done for way too long, for about 2,000 years, honestly, for the most part, what the church has done with those keys of that kingdom has been to lock everybody in to shame and guilt and fear. But we still got the keys, my friends. And I suggest we take those keys and what we do is we unlock those prisons and those cages and those jails of fear and shame and guilt. And we don't stop there. We keep going. We unlock and we set people free from divisions, from separations, from male and female, rich and poor, young and old, gay and straight, Republican and Democrat, American and Russian, or whatever lines and divisions and borders you can imagine. Jesus has said he's given human beings the power, the keys of the kingdom to create the kingdom is within us. The kingdom is here now. What we create now, what we do now, we have the power to do that. And all we have to do is decide this is the world we want to live in, and we have to start building it. Figure out how to do that. Figure out how you can do that in your life. I'm going to try to figure out how to do it in my life and in my sphere of influence in the world that I'm living in. And if we all do that together, I know it feels like nothing. I know it feels like such a small thing, such a little thing, like, oh, this isn't making a difference. This isn't doing anything. I'm telling you it is. Because even the smallest little match, the smallest little candle flame can push back miles of darkness, right? There's not enough darkness in the universe to extinguish a single flame. And so your little light, no matter how small you think it is, if you shine that light, it pushes back the darkness. And because again, darkness isn't a thing, right? I shared this David Lynch quote I loved, came across when David Lynch says, darkness and negativity isn't a thing. It's the absence of a thing. And the thing it's the absence of is love and light. So shine that light and show that love and express it in your body and in your being, because that's where the kingdom of God is. It's in you and it's in me. And all we have to do is resonate with this frequency of love and light and watch the darkness run and tremble and collapse. It can happen. It will happen. But again, we've got to shine. We've got to be there to make it happen. All right. So anyway, love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for supporting me and the podcast and all the other stuff I've been doing, whether that's Heretic Happy Hour or Second Cup with Keith, my blog, keithcharles.com, my books on Amazon, my Patreon supporters. Thank you all, everyone who supports me on Patreon every month, because I do need it. Believe it or not, people think, oh, Keith, you have a best-selling book and you've got all this stuff. And doing okay, but I tell you what, I'm doing okay because I have a very supportive, very kind, and faithful group of supporters on Patreon. Thank you very much. It's how I pay my rent every month. So I do appreciate everybody who supports us on Patreon. And just anyone, just your comments mean a lot to me. Your emails, your encouragement, your support in any way you provided, I really do appreciate it. It really does make a difference. Love you guys. Keep shining your light. We'll see you next week on Second Cup with Keith. And, we'll see you on Heretic Happy Hour tomorrow. And on, we'll see you on Friday on the bonus show. And we'll see you Sunday. And of course, on social media, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. All right. Love you guys. Take care. And yeah, like I said, keep shining. Take care.